Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll be going through the footage we filmed in our last video and compositing it within Davinci Resolve Fusion. I will show you a few processes that I've learned over my time doing green screen videos. If you find this video helpful in any way, give us a like and subscribe to the channel because that will help us grow. And with that, let's jump in. Okay, so we're already in a DaVinci project, and I'm going to assume that you already know how to use DaVinci to some degree because this is not a basics video by any stretch. I do have a key presser in the bottom right corner because I personally find it very annoying when I watch a tutorial and I don't know what buttons they pressed. So we're going to bring in this Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera footage. We're not going to worry about audio today because the audio from this camera wasn't very good. We will be compositing both the Blackmagic RAW footage and the Sony footage. So let's differentiate that in our timelines here. So let's put BMPCC for our Blackmagic, and then let's duplicate and make Sony. Just to show you what it looks like when you do both of them, because they obviously record at much different quality levels. I'm gonna get rid of that and that. The other reason I got this key presser in the corner is because I do press a lot of buttons that I often don't even remember. All right, so this is when I was doing Seinfeld hands. Let's just cut that out. We're only gonna do a little bit because we don't need to do a lot. We'll just show you the Seinfeld hands bit. There you go. The longer we do this, the more it's going to take, the longer it's going to take to render. So we got the Blackmagic here. Let's go ahead and put the Sony in. We probably could have put them on the same timeline. This is I'm literally using the project that I used last week. Let's just keep it all together. It'll be one of the last things I filmed. There you go. It's my exit. There you go. That's the moment. So we'll bring that in. Grab a nice Seinfeld hands moment. So if you remember from the last video, we filmed this Sony video section in 180-degree shutter, and we filmed the Blackmagic section in 120-degree shutter. So there will be a difference in motion blur, which you can already see. So if we go back to the MPCC, you can see the motion blur is just a bit less. But you can see my hands cross over the box there, which is not ideal. I was not behind the camera, obviously, so if I was behind the camera, I probably would have caught that and reframed or told the talent, stop waving your hands in my area that I've designated as not being acceptable. All right, so we're just going to go straight into Fusion. There are other key effects within the effects panel here, but I believe that they're mostly used for just getting a rough key if you're just trying to do a rough key, so then you can carry on with your edit before doing the final key, which is useful because you don't want to go ahead and do this final key if you haven't finished cutting the video, because it might tax your system. So what we need to do first... Man, I look so goofy. All right, so what we need to do first is add a clean plate. So what I did to open up this menu, by the way, is Control and then Spacebar, and that'll open up this little menu that gives you access to all the effects nodes. So we go clean plate. That's the first step that I do. What you can do is if you grab the clean plate here and drag it up to your monitor, then what that will do is set the clean plate as your monitor output, which is important if you've got multiple nodes and you want to make sure that what you're seeing here is what you're dealing with. So we'll do that. So now what we're looking at is the clean plate, which at this point in the process is not going to make much difference, but I'll show you later on how helpful that can be. The first thing you want to do is grab this little eyedropper and drag it over your green. So what this clean plate is essentially going to do is grab an average of what all the green is looking like, and then pass that into our next node that we will add. So we will erode, we're going to erode away at our key here, because what that does is it gets rid of all the pixels that aren't part of the key. If I pull it back and go back to where it was, and then we do what's coming next, which is grow the edges to fill in all the black, all the blank space. See how it's dragged in all this black? We don't want that. So what we do is we bring that back and we erode the edges so that it's only going to see the green. There's no chance anything else is going to come in here. And then we grow the edges from there. So then that will fill in. That should fill it all in with green. It's going to take a second. If you look down here, you can see the little loading bar. The clean plate, yeah, takes a second, which is something here you need to make sure you do is, see, we have it on sequence right now, which means if I hit play on this, it's going to make a clean plate for every single frame of the process. And that is an enormous use of resources. So if we just hit hold frame, that's going to lock it into the frame that we've established here. And then every frame in the video will just refer back to this one clean plate. Because we don't have, I mean, there may be other circumstances that would warrant a sequence, but this entire video, the green screen stays exactly the same, so our clean plate can stay the same. So that's it. That's our clean plate done. So the next step is to go Control spacebar and type in delta. We're going to bring in the delta keyer. So then what we do is we want to add in, so I just, to show you what I did there, if you click the end of this, it'll get rid of that, and then you can stretch it into the node here. So I am assuming you have just some knowledge, I suppose, of node-based workflows. So because this is the media going this is the media going in, this is the media coming out, and we're basically piping it from one side to the other. So the media is going to go this way up to the delta keyer, and it's also going to go down here to the clean plate. But we want the clean plate to now pipe into delta keyer. So what we do is we grab this rectangle here, this gray square. If you hold Alt while you grab that and you bring it up here and then let go of left click, you'll see you get this menu. So we want to pipe that into clean plate. If we had gone the other way, if we had just dragged it up like that, it still connects through clean plate. But I find it particularly helpful to just build this habit in of just making sure it's going in where you expect it to go, just so that you don't have any weirdness. Because sometimes when you're piping things around, you expect it to go in a particular way and it just doesn't. So I always like to verify, just make sure that that works correctly. So this one here, you can do the same thing. You can hold Alt, drag it over, left click, and put it into your input. But because this only has an input, that's the only place it's going to go. So our monitor here, by the way, is still set to clean plate. So we can drag our media out up here to see the full media out, or you can drag your delta keyer up here to see your delta keyer. It just matters in terms of what's in the middle of the pipe. To give you an example, if I go transform and I add a transform node between here, and then I scale it up because I want to have it all scaled up by the end, but I still need to work on the key. You can grab the delta keyer and bring it up, see? And so if you go media out, that's what our media out's going to be. But if you bring up the delta keyer, that's what the delta keyer is seeing. So we're up to delta keyer, and you can see it's already done a pretty good job. Most of the green is gone. We have a lot to garbage mat out of here, but it's already done a pretty good job. What we do is we go up to this drop down menu and change it to status, and that will give us a better understanding. Within status, we want the things that we want to keep to be white and the things we want to get rid of to be black. So what we do is we go up to matte and we change the threshold. I have found there are other places you can tweak to be able to get different results, but it seems to be that doing that trade something off, right? So you can clean background, clean foreground, but there's always some level of trade-off. Threshold, in my experience, has given us the best results so far. So you want to go just enough that you've gotten rid of everything. It is worth scrubbing to make sure that it's not just the frame that you're on. You go this way. One thing you don't need to worry so much about is if you see on the ends, see how there's gray? You don't, where it kind of phases from one to the other, it's okay to have a bit of gray, especially around the hair, because it makes it softer. So if we bring that up. There you go. That's where we're at. So if we go up to 100%, okay, this is going to be trouble because my camera was not in focus. It's very hard to focus a manual camera when you're not standing behind it, so I apologize. The Sony is in focus because it has autofocus. So that is going to be another reason why we're going to have this gray. See this gray strip all the way around is because the camera is out of focus. But we will be able to compare with the Sony, so we'll do that next. Yeah, so it's not looking too bad. It's a good idea to have a second monitor that you can blow this up on, so you can actually come in here and really spy your key. Let's do the garbage mat now. So you can see we have a lot of things here that are not part of the green screen that we do want to get rid of. So what we can do is up in the top bar here, you've got some shapes. Bring down this rectangle and it'll put a box on your screen there. If you grab one of the edges, you can stretch it and it mirrors it on the other side, which is very handy. And then within the middle here, you have these arrows. Just grab the arrow for the left, right, and we can slide it across. And that will box up that left side. So I try to get it I try not to garbage mat too much, but yeah, that's good. So down here in our rectangle, you go back to the tip we learned before, and if we hold Alt while pressing the gray square, we're going to bring the arm out, and we're going to release it on Delta key and pipe it into garbage mat. And then that is going to get rid of that side. And you can see if we move that, that's what that's doing. Now every rectangle that we bring down here, we do the same thing, but we can pipe that into the rectangle we already have. So we'll bring that over here. That's the red lights from behind the green screen. So they did end up coming into our frame. I think my hand crosses it. If my hand doesn't cross that, then you could just mask that out as well. This is where it gets a bit tricky because sometimes you can get away with things if you just if you're lucky. So we pipe that across there and it'll do the same thing. Applies the garbage mat and then we grab another one. And let's do the top. So this is where I was getting a bit sneaky by having these blatantly in frame, expecting to mask it out, but my hands cross into it. So we can see that if I hit fit on this, reframe it, we're pretty good, except for when I do these big hands up above. So what we can do to get around that is just, well, not really get around it, but commit to it. We could go back to that node we had before, put in a transform, scale it up. It's going to take it's like clean plate. Oh, hold on, we're looking at, there you go. Got to make sure you're using you're monitoring the correct node, media out. So you can scale it up. I mean, we can because we're using 6K footage here. But yeah, see, look there, that's where my hands clip. So if we just commit to it and make that now our shot edge, Not so bad. Okay, for our backgrounds, I've brought in just the image of what we shot in our last video. This is where I did my intro. Oh my god, look at me. So goofy. Anyway, we'll bring that in. I'm not sure how this is going to look because I didn't really consider a background. I was so caught up on just filming this. So we've done our key. So our key is ready to go. These nodes, wherever you put them, doesn't matter. Like, so you can just organize that however it makes sense for you. But it's, yeah, it'll just keep shuffling these lines as you move them about. So everything on this side is our key. That's all done. So we want to bring down a merge node, which is this one here. And you want to pipe in from your transform into, if you hold Alt, again, pipe it into the foreground. It will likely go the other way around. If you just do it normally, it's going to go background. So hold Alt, drag it over, foreground. This one here is our background. Hold Alt, drag it over, background. Then drag this into our media out. And there you go. Now that's done. So this is our transform, which does move things around like that. One thing to keep in mind, I don't really quite understand why it does this, but it assumes the resolution of your background. So this background we shot on the Sony, which has a ultra high definition resolution, and the footage we shot on this Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera is 6K. So that is why now my head is cropped off, because it's putting 6K footage on a 4K background. So you want to fix your sizing. All your sizing that we did before is going to be, it's going to be wrong now. So we want to look at the media out, make sure we're looking at media out, and adjust our sizing. Obviously the lighting here is way off, so we can fix that in a minute. We're just going to try to shuffle this at least a little bit to make it look like it's a little bit in place. One thing I do is grab on your media out here, your media in, sorry. Control space bar, do another transform. So even though we've set our 4K background, you can still readjust the size of your background. So we can shuffle that in here, make it look a little bit more in place. And then another thing that makes it look even better, control spacebar, go lens blur. So that's how you can make it look like you're focusing in on your subject in the foreground and your background's out of focus. So we can lower that a bit. There you go. So that color is looking way off. It's because of the temperature. So the temperature up here is 32. And this is be shot at 55 Kelvin, 5500 Kelvin. So if we hit, I'm still a bit new on this one, but you can use your color curves. So I don't quite understand yet the workflow of dealing with color within Fusion. I will have to do some more research on this, and then I guess I will make a new video. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out is that you often come at this with a similar problem. You often get a similar problem when doing this, and that is if you come right in, you can see all this noise that is on my hair here. And what that comes from is the delta keyer doing its green screen spill. If you go to the green screen spill, it's on none, but it's still there. It's still there doing it to some degree. I have seen tutorials on different ways to get around this by turning the delta keyer into it just creating a mask. But so far I have found the best way to do it is go into your matte, up here into matte, and change it from soft color to hard color. I don't know why specifically, but look how much that's cleaned it up straight away. If we go back to soft color, boom, it's back. The noise. Hard color, gone. There is this edge here at the moment. we go into status, when you go to status with the delta key, after you've put a garbage mat on, you're going to get this rather bizarre looking status. So what you have to do is disconnect your garbage mats to look at your delta key again, and then reconnect it once you come back. If anyone knows why that is the case, please let me know. Not too bad. And then if we go to media out, oh, frick. Oh, that fell apart completely, didn't it? Oh, no. Oh, no. Do you know what? I think maybe it's because this camera... I don't know. I don't want to blame everything on its focus, really, because it shouldn't be it, should it? But I really did not do a good job with this. What is going on there? That is a disaster. I wonder if that's the hard color, because it definitely looked better than that before. So if I go soft color, yeah, it looks a bit better. But we've got that noise again. Let's do the Sony and see how that looks. So again, clean plate. Loaded the clean plate in the top here. We're going to come over here. If you hold down Control while dragging your eyedropper, you can create a more general color pick, and it'll just average out the area. I don't know how much that affects it, but I tend to do that for good measure. So again, we're eroding it, hitting hold frame, really important for our render time. Growing edges, and then that's our clean plate. Let's get our delta key out again. Delta key. Let's pipe in our image. Pipe the delta key over to media out. Pipe clean plate into clean plate. And now if we bring the delta key up here, this has done a much better job already. So if we drag the threshold, we'll clean that out. Drag this side, we'll clean that out. It's amazing how much better you can do with a camera that does a lot of thinking for you. There you go. See how we scrubbed a little bit and we can see a bit more at the back there. So if we just increase our threshold. There you go. We're going to have a lot of motion blur here. But I think that's already given us a much better key. So if I go... Yeah, look at that motion blur. See how it gives your hands these massive paddles? Look at that. Look at that. That's something else, isn't it? All right. Let's bring our background in. It's going to be the same background as before, and it's going to be just as difficult to color match, but let's bring it in anyway so we can see what it looks like in a real world scenario. Bring in the merge. Pipe in your transform into your foreground, your background into your background, your merge into your media out. Drag media out up into your window. Hit Control, spacebar, add a transform node to your media. And then add a lens blur after your transform. Lens blur. So then that'll blur us out in the background. I usually go down to about 2.5. You just want to eyeball it. Just look at it, make sure, if you've seen a picture long enough, you know what it should look like. Yeah, look at those hands. See how that... You play around with green screen trying to key it so much. You're just never going to get hands that look good if you shoot it at this shutter angle. Well, that's if they move it a lot. There's a lot of moving. But if you look up here, my hair here looks pretty good. Because it's in focus. It's amazing how much that helps. But if we pipe our delta keyer back up to our monitor and then look at our status again, status, you know, you can keep playing around with it. You try to not be too aggressive with it, because the more you do, like the more you be aggressive, it see how it like creates a hard edge there. So if you're more delicate with it, if you try to get it just on the cusp of what's necessary, then you get a much softer edge on your key, which ultimately helps, yeah, helps things like that looking more believable. Because if we drag that up, see how it looks more and more like a paddle. But if we come back this way, it just looks like a blur, which is what it is. So if we go fit, status, yeah. We just want to make sure that we get at least the larger sections in the middle here, so that my face is not translucent, you know, things like that. I find you don't have to worry so much about glasses and things like that, because it'll look like a reflection, which it kind of is. It's a reflection of the screen. So you don't have to keep dragging this threshold till you get rid of your glasses there. Just leave it in there and see how it looks. Final result. See, it's got the reflection here on the glass there. But if we go fit and then we go media out, yeah, it's not looking too bad. That's looking much better than the black magic. Let's see what other color we can use. Color corrector. Maybe that's what we need. Yeah, that's what we need. Colors, levels, histogram, surprise. Yeah. So if I just drag this over here, oh yeah, there you go. That's much better. We'll change the hue, saturation, contrast. Much nicer. There you go. That puts us much more in the realm of what we're looking for. There you go, you're getting there. If we go this way, this camera's a bit like low angle-y. So if we, yeah, that's not too bad there. And then if you play with the lens blur a bit as well, you'll get there. Because you'll, yeah, you just want to make it look like your subject is something you focused on and the background is just fallen out of focus. If that's the kind of camera you're going for. If you're trying to look like an iPhone, then you probably want to keep everything in focus then. But that's definitely done a better job. That's done actually a much better job than I was expecting. I was expecting the other camera to do a much cleaner job, just because of the amount, it just shoots much better information. But this camera is just much better at getting a quality picture more reliably. If I go to the delta keyer and we change it to hard color, how does that look? Yeah, that looks even better. See, that is the output that I was kind of expecting from the last camera. See, if we go to soft color here, you can kind of see compression. Well, it's compression. It's not compression. It's like the green cleanup in the darks. But if you go to hard color, it just cleans all that up. It just doesn't do that anymore. How does it go with our hands though? It's got to be a trade-off. If I go soft color, hard color, soft color, hard color. There you go. Fit. It's not looking too bad. Let's call it there. You could spend a whole nother video just on the color correction side of things. The scope of this video was just to go through the keying process. So I wanted to show you the delta keyer with the clean plate, how effective those two are together, how using soft color and hard color changes the output of the delta keyer. The delta keyer has this problem of dealing with the green spill. So if you go through the spill here, you can change how much you bring in. But from what I've played with, it's just nothing but bad news. So I have found that there are workflows, which maybe we can look at in another video, of just piping around the green spill workflow entirely. So turning the delta keyer into a matte. So if you go up here and just go matte, see now you have a matte to work with. So you can pass that matte into another node that has nothing to do with the green spill. It basically eliminates the spill entirely. You'll be able to see then all of the green that the delta keyer is taking out. But there are other nodes that will clean up the green in a much more delicate manner than the delta keyer does here. But this is what I just wanted to show you, is that if you just play around with hard color, if you use hard color, then that will be the answer to most of the situations in which you're dealing with a large amount of noise brought on by this spill suppressor. But yeah, I also wanted to show you just the basic workflow of doing it in Fusion, because there are a lot of people who are editing now within Davinci Resolve, myself included. Knowing that there is a very effective green screen workflow built into this program is really helpful. In the past, I'd used After Effects to do the similar workflow, and I would send the footage that I wanted keyed to After Effects, do the whole workflow there, render it out and pass it back into Premiere or Davinci or whatever I was using to edit. But to know that you can go just one tab over into Fusion, do a very, very effective green screen key, and then go back into edit and just keep editing your footage like it's already been rendered out. Okay guys, we're going to leave the video there. I hope that was helpful. If it was, give me a like and a subscribe and to help the channel grow. We'll be making more videos with Resolve and different filming techniques and things that I learn along the way. I'm making these videos in Resolve as I go, which is helping me personally learn a lot more about this program and different workflows. I come from Premiere Pro, so switching over to this and trying to learn as much as I can. I've been using this green screen workflow for a number of videos over the past 6 months, so I hope that was helpful to you. There's a lot more for me to learn in terms of color and other things, but we'll make more videos about that going forward. So again, please subscribe and like and leave comments down below if you want to talk about it more. Thanks again guys, we'll catch you in the next video. Take care.